You're a beast. These are mine.
Hey, welcome to another Wednesday live on the YouTube channel. As always, feel free to ask any questions or just join the conversation about analog cameras or anything like that. Hi, Leighton. Nice to see you here. For those who probably have seen, I uploaded the Kickstarter video on Intrepid. I think it was Sunday or Monday. Now I forgot. I think maybe Monday morning or Sunday afternoon. And nothing that was good news for at least me. Got that off my workload. And now I'm on to making probably the first video on the architecture series, because I have basically it's been a horrible winter. I think everywhere in the world it's been pretty bad. But finally the sun's coming out, and loaded film holders, backpack and stuff. So I'll be recording some 4x5 architecture shots and sharing what I use and stuff like that. I try not to make it too long of a video, because I could probably make it very long of a video. And nothing. Been working on the darkroom last weekend. I did some portrait shots, which you can probably check on my Instagram. Kind of the Avedon style white background, straight up portraits, which are part of a series I want to start with sportsmen or sports athletes. But yeah, Leighton says, ducking into the darkroom, but remember the live stream. Nice to see you, Leighton. I've been wanting to go to the darkroom today, never made it. Had to do my taxes today, so that was that. And not much else. Been learning how to scan 8x10s pretty easily on the Epson. So that's why I shot and developed on the weekend and already scanned everything there. If you guys remember, we opened a Flickr group, which I should upload the pictures I took on Sunday, just in case anyone wants to join the group. It's been pretty still over there, but that's the group. It's actually on the description on the videos. Let me see. Yeah, on the live stream I have the Flickr group on the description. Wait, I opened last week's video. That's not very smart. Let me see here. I have the laptop open with the tabs. But yeah, been shooting some 8x10, been shooting some 6x7s and developing. I catched up on all my developing, almost on my black and white. Developed my first roll of Ferrania P30. Haven't uploaded anything yet because the film's severely scratched. I was advised about it by Ferrania, and still I shot it, and the film looks great. The tones look really nice. I never shoot slow film, so I guess that's what you get with slower films, a bit more tonality. And yeah, it's a very nice film. Can't wait to shoot some rolls that might not be scratched. So I'm gonna shoot maybe the rest of the film I have and see, and if not, I'll get some more. It's kind of coming out in little batches around the world in little stores, so hope I can get some. Leighton says, I was printing last night. Taxes are a pain. I just got my email saying it's that time of the year again. Yeah, it's that time of the year. But yeah, I'm basically a company myself for my studio, and then I work for a company, so I have to pay taxes for my studio and I have to pay taxes for my company, well, the company I work for. So it's double the taxes. Brian says, how do you scan 8x10 to your Epson? Flat like a document or raised holder? Example, the dog spill mat. It's how I've been scanning. There's this photographer in Flickr called Rafael. Let me check his Flickr account, but he's called Rafael Boo. Let me see. And he shoots a bunch of skate. I used to skate. still kind of love the scene. And Rafael Gonzalez photo. And this is his Flickr. I don't know if you guys can see it. But he posts behind the scenes of him scanning, and he was throwing his film on top of his scanner and just scanning it like that. So I tried doing my scan of my 8x10, just throwing it on top of the scanner and scanning. And they come out pretty impressive. There's a bunch of dust, of course, and I've been dusting my scans on Lightroom, which I actually learned that you click the letter A and it becomes like a weird artsy color, black and white shot, and you can spot the dust super easily like that, and then you press A again and it inverts it again, and that's been very helpful. So yeah, that's how I've been scanning, just flipping the negative around, putting it on the flatbed and scanning. I've been scanning my 8x10s at 2400 DPI. Is it DPI? And I've been getting around 120 megs or so of files, which my computer does not like. So I probably will scan it much less. The ones on Flickr are uploaded at 5,000, I think, I don't know how to, pixels, the longest line. Let me see. JKL says that, was that man of the picture your father? No, that's a friend that actually was the one that taught me how to print, the little bit I know about printing. I hope he will join me with some printing videos because he's actually much better than me. His work is impressive. He shoots HP5 at 200, developed in PyroCat or Pyro 5 HD, I don't know, one of those Pyros. And he prints everything on Ilford Warmtone. That's why I do, because he did it. So it was him that joined me on Sunday. We had a few beers, shot some 8x10. Leighton says, nice portraiture. Thank you, Leighton. It was pretty hard to get my kids to be still. And yeah, basically that. JKL keeps erasing messages. What do you think about the Olympus OM cameras? I've never used an Olympus OM, but I have wanted to test them out. They feel like they're very small, which is nice, small footprint. I have a Pentax LX, which is similar in size, but the Olympus OM line has always been famous for being very good. So I wouldn't say they're anything close to being a bad SLR camera. Leighton says, yes, DPI. Okay, I'm not very good at this scanning stuff. Yeah, Hogger's saying, I can talk about the Discord server. Some of these fine film folks might be interested in chatting analog and stuff. Let me join the Discord conversation. So Hogarth, which is a film friend that we talk on WhatsApp and stuff like that every now and then, invited me to this app that's like a chat room for gamers, but it's a film chat. So let me see if I can hook up the link. And even though it sounds a little awkward, it's called Man I Love Film, and it's pretty fun. Let me see how I can, there we go. Now I can copy this. There's a bunch of conversations, actually too many for me to follow all the time, but there we go. That's the invite. You click that, you download or use your phone, and you can chat along. It's quite fun. It kind of reminds me of Reddit, but it's kind of like faster, a lot of more people talking. Kind of a WhatsApp and Reddit had like a mix. Stay far away. Ganita says, tune in late and need to run, but I'll watch the show afterwards. See you later, Nikita. Yeah, this stuff is live, but you guys can always watch it later. A lot of people tell me they watch it like a podcast or listen to it like a podcast. So I guess the painting is not that interesting most of the time. But yeah, I've been thinking of what to do with a live streaming in the future. We are at live stream number 45. That's almost a year live streaming weekly. And I don't know what to do with a live stream, if I should try to keep it on a topic every week, or maybe keep it at, just try to change things a little bit, see what it would come out like. So if you guys have any recommendations about what would you like to see on the live stream, or to make it better or more interesting for you, or you would like to talk about, I don't know, maybe I can show you what I printed that week, or shots that I've taken that week, or cameras that I've been using, anything like that, you guys can ask me, and I'll try to join that into the live stream. Did you see they've added tech chat for the saved live stream, so we can see them when we, oh yeah, they have added, that's something new for the last 3 or 4 live streams, that you can actually see the chat finally, so I don't have to read everyone's comments. But still, I kind of like the whole reading them out, just to soak them in myself. JKL, what do you think about the Leica Mini Looks? From what I've heard about the Leica, I've never used the Leica Mini Looks. It's a pretty fun camera. I have a thing for point and shoots, and it's that they're really fun cameras, but they all kind of tend to fail at some point, and they're irreplaceable or non-fixable. For that reason, I got rid of my Contax. I had a Contax T3 back in the day. I've used the Contax T2 for a while, which was extremely fun, and actually I have a shot of my kid that I really love. Couldn't have done without a point and shoot. And all I keep as point and shoots are the Olympus XA. I have an XA2 and an XA3 or 2 and an XA4. And I have Olympus MJU 2, which I got for 15 bucks, and I'll probably never sell because the hype right now is a little ridiculous. But yeah, point and shoot cameras are so much fun, but also one of those cameras that fails. So I try not to spend too much money. I had the Fuji Natura S. That was a 24 millimeters 1.9 point and shoot camera that was only released in the Japanese market. And that got sold to Leotao or Letao. I don't know how to spell that or say that. And it's a really fun camera, but I just didn't use it enough. I rather use, I mean, for the price of a Contax T2 right now, you can buy a Leica M2 and get it fixed as many times as you probably want. So that's why I changed to using Leica cameras. Let me see, go up. Brian Kong, have you used the Tetanol C41 liquid kit? So what do you know how to push? Yes, I have used the Tetanol C41. I actually have 2.5 liters waiting for me to develop some color film, which I'll try to share with you guys, either live or record a video and then share it. How do you push? You push by doing developing more time. I'm not exactly sure for the amount of time. I think it's either 30 seconds or maybe a bit more. You can also push by adding temperature, so it can be warmer. It has a little booklet inside the box you get, and it says what to do. If you hit me up when I'm in the darkroom or remind me through Instagram or Facebook, I'll take a picture of the little booklet, but Hogarth probably has it right now in front of him. And you can push. If not, maybe we can Google Tetanol PDF. But let me know. Fiorina says, I enjoyed the Intrepid interview, Nico. Thank you. I tried to do it yourself in Indulger for my Intrepid 4x5 and made my first prints on it this week. How long before we see the Intrepid product? So from what I was told by Max when I was there, and this was, I think, December last year, the Intrepid Enlarger would be out sometime this year. I know he's working on the prototype, and I think he's going to Kickstarter it, probably just to see how the demand is. I remember the pricing or the price point he wanted was going to be pretty extremely affordable. So I can't say exactly because he gave me a price range, but it's been a long time. Maybe it changed, and I don't want to make people excited for something to be X amount of money and maybe it's double that. But I remember it being very affordable, pretty fun. Do remember that you're going to need probably in larger lens or process lens on the front of your camera. So start searching for process camera lenses or larger lenses on eBay. You're going to need around 135 millimeter to 150 millimeter enlarger lens for your Intrepid or whatever camera. Good thing is that enlarger from Intrepid is going to work on any Graflock camera. So Chamonix cameras, Graflex cameras, some Vista cameras, you know, Toyo, Ebony cameras. So you can use any of those cameras for an enlarger, Horseman, Cinar, stuff like that. So that'll be fun. Hi, Hal. 10 minutes late. Don't worry. I almost made it late today myself. Layton says, JKL, I think I would rather go for a Contax G series cameras, but I don't like the point and shoot like the Mini Lux. Actually, I do have a Contax G2 myself, and the good thing about the Contax G2 is the part that the camera is pretty awesome, and when it does focus properly, it's good, is the fact that if your camera breaks, you can change the body and just get, you know, those lenses working on a different camera. So that's a good thing about that. Woo. Funzi says, I have a Contax T2 and it feels like it could fail anytime I turn it on. But it's so fun to use. Yeah, the T2 is really fun to use. I never expected it to be so much fun, but I sadly won't buy one at the prices. Surreal Boy, what's your opinion on TLRs? So TLRs and me have a long history of not getting along. I sadly bought a Rolleiflex as a wedding present from my wife to me, but I bought it. And it was not working so well. Sent it to get repaired, got it repaired, never tried it out, and went on a trip to Chicago for 4 days, shot a ton of film, came back to Spain, developed all my film. All my film was back focused or front focused. So it was out of warranty, so I had to suck it up and never send it out to repair. Sold it to a friend as is. So every time I've had a TLR, I've had some kind of issue. I've had the Yashica Mat 124G, the Rolleiflex 2.8E, the 2.8F. Didn't really feel it. I've been tempted with a 3.5F actually this week and such. I think they're awesome cameras. People that can get good pictures on them have my most, you know, praise, because I can't get them to work with my style of photography. I have a big issue with shooting waist level finders and shooting maybe street photography or portraits, because you end up looking up, and I don't like that kind of look. So I try not to use much of a waist level finder when I'm out and about. Jacob, hi. Camo Green, hi. Intrepid Mark III is coming soon. How? Yes, it is. They're already working on it. I might be testing it out beforehand, hopefully. I hope Max watches this and remembers me when he thinks about sending them out. But yeah, it will have a few features that are fun. You heard them on the video. Maybe interchangeable bellows, maybe some movements on the back, a little sturdier, maybe better materials and such. But yeah, we'll see what comes out. Jacob, what was the short key for dust removal in Lightroom again? The A letter, so A as in animal. You press that A. I did it by accident, actually, and all the picture kind of inverted into this weird black and white kind of drawing-ish, and you could totally see the dust spots, and I edited like that, and then you press A again, and it inverts it again. It's not exactly a matching invert, like a negative inversion, but it kind of looks weird, but it works really well, especially because my background was white. You could see the spots of dust. JKL, I don't understand these high prices for the T2. The T2 has gotten famous because of people praising it over the internet. Negative feedback had it on their YouTube channel, and that made the price go up. Probably, maybe, what was it called? Digital Rev maybe had a video on it. I can't remember. I know they did one on the X-Pan. The X-Pan went crazy. Then Kendall Jenner, or whatever you call her, came out on Saturday Night Live or something like that with a Contax T2, and suddenly everyone wanted one. But yeah, point and shoots are extremely pricey at the moment. But we'll see. Camel Green, never tried a Linhof Master Technica. If the Linhof Master Technica is the foldable one, Linhof Master Tech, let me see. Yeah, I have used it like once before. So I've used it once, very fun camera, sturdy. I like the idea that the back has like another set of bellows that you can do some movements. I rather use a field camera because I feel it's lightweight. It does pretty much everything you need when you're out in the field. And if I want a proper camera with movements, I take a monorail out and I use that. What do you think about the Minox? I've never actually used the Minox, so I can't say much about it, but they look pretty fun. The Camel Green, I've been thinking about buying one. Would be cool to have a camera made in the city you were born and live in. That would be cool. I have a friend that has one that maybe I can get a loan and do a little video on it. Actually, I have a friend here in Bilbao that has a brand new one. Maybe I'll try to do a little review on the Linhof, the Camel Green. If you want me to do that, let me know, and I'll see if I can do some kind of feature of a Linhof Master Technica. And I think it is brand new, so that would be pretty fun. Mark, hi Mark. Hope your trip to China went well, or if you're still there, hope it's going well. Jacob says thanks. You're welcome, Jacob. Let me know if that A key works with your Lightroom. I got the latest Lightroom. I had to end up paying the subscription to be able to dust my negatives, but we'll see how that goes. The only going, can you print black and white negs on color paper? As a matter of fact, RA4 paper is basically a negative paper, so it inverts your images, so it should work, but it would be probably the last thing I would want to do. I would rather just enlarge on normal black and white paper. I see that a bit more of a pain of a process, especially because the chemistry is way more sensitive, and it has to be done in the total dark and super fast. So yeah, I would highly recommend printing black and white negs on normal black and white paper. But let me know what do you think about doing that? But it should work. But the contrast might not be something you can control, because black and white color paper, you can't change the contrast. So I don't know how you would do that. Maybe getting a perfect negative. Jean says, my dream camera is a Leica M8. Besides eBay, where do you go to find them? I've been wanting one since I was a teen. I'd willingly trade my 100s with 100S with 50 conversion and 20T. That's how bad I'd want one. I don't know what 100S means, but the M8, I mean, the places I go, eBay, you have Leica Shop, you have F4s in the UK, MK Optics in Holland, you have KEH in the UK and the US, B&H in the US, Adorama in the US, K&M in New York, Igor Camera Exchange in the US, even though I had a bit of a not very nice experience with them. Not that I bought anything, but the way they answered was not very nice to an email, which was not something they needed to do. But they have nice stuff. But yeah, don't know where to find an M8 apart from that. The Camel Green, that would be so cool. There's so little information about them on YouTube. Okay, I'll see if I can get my friend. He was actually my first student in the large format workshop. I had 2 students on the first workshop, and both had Linhof cameras, and both were professional photographers. So it was a pretty tough start, but it came out fun. We had a pretty big fun time, and I'm meaning to go visit them at their studio. Jean says, but with a family, I can't just buy one out of the blue. Family first. Yeah, I understand what you mean. Oh, Mark says I got the wrong Mark. Oops, sorry, Mark. I must have mixed marks. JKL says, I sadly live next to like, I wouldn't say that's sad. I live next to an old factory that made film and paper here, but it was gone in the 90s, and I would love to visit it, but it's basically a bunch of ruins right now. The only gogging, I'll be in Bilbao soon. Any tips on decent places to go out shooting? First thing I would say, you're welcome to come to my studio if you want to come and shoot. I'll happily take some 8x10 portraits of you, or you and your partner or friends, whatever. Decent places to go out shooting depends on what you want to shoot. I would say if you're into street photography, the old part of town called the Casco Viejo is really fun because it's really old buildings, kind of like very narrow roads and stuff like that. Then you have the train stations, pretty beautiful and interesting at the same time. Then in Bilbao, you have the Guggenheim area, which is very modern and kind of, you play with light and you have some sun, it can be really fun to shoot. Apart from that, I would say architecture-wise, the soccer stadium is pretty impressive and there's a lot of new buildings around Bilbao. But yeah, let me know if you're coming and I'll send you an email or something. I'll give you my number or whatever. You can ask me whatever you want. Leighton says, F4's Camera Ventures, Japan Camera Hunter. West Yorkshire Cameras would be the first stops. Yeah, those are good sites too. Laya Hoop says, do ND filters change the look of the film or just let you rate it at a slower ISO? Yeah, ND filters do add a bit of color cast. The cheaper the ND filter is, the more color cast you're going to get. So for example, if you're shooting black and white, you're not going to care because it'll stop the amount of light that goes into the film. But if you're shooting on color, the cheapest ones usually give sometimes like a purple-ish cast, like purple, pink hues. So beware of that. Look online before you buy a brand and see what it's all about. But yeah, ND filters basically cut the light. If you're shooting black and white, I use color filters to add contrast, or depending on what you're shooting, make the sky darker. And if I'm shooting color, usually I don't use any ND filters. I actually don't own any, I think. Leighton says, isn't the M8 digital? It is digital, but I mean, at least I'll answer him. I'm not an expert on that. And Hao says he means the Fuji 100X100S, which I think that's what I understood. Also, not much of an expert on Fujis. The only gogging says, cool, I'll be there at the end of May. Well, let me know. I'm going to be traveling a bit around May, but hopefully I'll be here and let you know. For those who don't know, I organize a little event every now and then called Film and Beer, basically just to get together to talk film, photography, kind of like we're doing here with a beer. And I usually do it in my hometown, Bilbao. But when I travel abroad or travel somewhere, I do it wherever I am. So I was in London, I did one in London, I did one in Miami, I've done one in San Francisco. Actually met Joseph that joins us here sometimes. And let me think. Oh, I'm going to be in Geneva, Switzerland at June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, something like that. Maybe we could figure out something there and meet for a beer. So if you're around the Switzerland area, let me know. Jacob says, sorry for asking again, what's the forename of his Guy Gonzalez guy on Instagram? I was taking a shower and I couldn't get it. Rafael Gonzalez, like Hal said. Yeah, and if not, let me know on Instagram and I'll tell you. But yeah, Rafael Gonzalez is it. Let me see, I have it here. Rafa Gonzalez photo. I'm going to write it. Oops. Rafa Gonzalez photo. That's on Instagram. Phil Nena, do you think there's a market for taking portraits exclusively on film? I would say there is. I actually launched a little bit of portrait series I want to do in Bilbao. Let me share with you guys because maybe let's see what you guys think on Nico's photography show. Oh, my website's a mess. I have all kinds of different things on it, but let me see what you guys think. I'm doing, if anyone comes to Bilbao and wants a portrait on 8x10, I'm doing this, which is 8x10 shots on film, logically, not using that 8x10 digital camera that just came out, but for €5. So I shoot 2 shots of whoever wants the portrait, and I'll do it for €5. And you'll get a digital scan. Scan it on my Epson scanner to remove the dust, adjust layers or contrast or whatever it's called, and that. And if someone wants a physical print, I sell that too, as to supporting my studio. But so far, no interest. I've been doing friends for now and family, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think there is a market for taking portraits exclusively in film. Some people that do weddings basically are doing that on film. I think the biggest thing is you got to really market yourself. You have to be good at it. You have to have a social media presence, or you have to be in magazines, editorials, stuff like that. But there's a bunch of people I could recommend you that do shoot film and make a living shooting portraits and editorials, and a lot more than you would think. Jean says, would you ever consider visiting Canada one day? A beer and camera would be cool. I would love to visit Canada. I would probably have to visit for the sake of visiting it, because maybe I don't really know if there's any photography related places I could visit for doing photo stories in Canada. But yeah, I would go. I go to Miami pretty much every year and then try to do an inside the US or continental America trip. So I would be happy to visit Canada. It's actually one of those countries I would love to go. I feel like Canadian people are pretty nice people. I'm sure there's everything, but yeah, I would love to. JKL says, please one in Germany. JKL probably will have a film and beer at Photokina. So Photokina, we'll get some beers and we'll talk some cameras and film. Layton says, I think you are going to have to go out and find the market for it. Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, portraits on film can work. It's just you need to find who needs it. And you need to convince people, if you're trying to do like I'm trying to do, you need to convince people why there's a benefit on using film and not just paying someone for digital shots and getting 20 or 30 or 40 shots, because on 8x10, I'm offering a very limited amount of film per session because I can't afford to be wasting film for pretty much free. But we'll see where that goes. House says, I just tried gum printing and it was okay. Looks like a bad print of a photogram. Sharpness pretty low. We'll do cyanotype next week. Any tips for toning it? The blue kind of weird to me. How I would have to look at my notes, but on cyanotype, what I did is I bleached it after doing the blue. You add, is it hydrogen peroxide? Is that what it's called? The one that makes it darker? I know the name in Spanish. So I add the enhancer for the blue, so it makes it darker. Then I bleached it with the bleach that you use for silver prints. Also can't remember the name in English, but that material you use. And then from that, I would toned it with some toner. I would have to look at my darkroom. I still have all the chemistry there to make cyanotypes. About cyanotypes and sharpness, there's a thing is the sharpness is not going to be there because of the paper. So I saw some done on glass. So if you can try to get them on glass, it's amazing. I never got to do it. The problem is when you do it on glass, you have to let it slowly dry, and any dust or anything that lays on the gelatin will, make it ruined or at least have dust on it. And then once dry, you can expose it. So it's pretty cool. Jet Set Sonic Mario channel. Can you react to my YouTube channel live? I don't know what you mean by that, but House says, I think it's potassium dichromate makes cyanotype darker. Mine, one included in the kit. I think it's the one you use when you get wounds. Darker blue cyanotype. Let me see what they say. Acetic acid, white vinegar. I can't remember what I used. Yeah. We run a weakish solution of hydrogen peroxide over your print near the final wash. I just splash it randomly until it works. And that makes it darker. So that's what I used, that's for sure. Yeah, I remember that was it. Jet Set, sorry, but I don't know what you want me to react to, but there's not much to react. More film giveaways. Okay, so I've still haven't sent the film giveaway because I still haven't received it from the store. But I would love to do more giveaways. I want to do a camera giveaway. But the problem with a giveaway is that you basically have to just buy the camera or camera that you own and give it away. You basically just invest on something like that. And I don't want to do something like that because, first of all, it would become a tendency that you just buy and give away. If the channel had enough attention and enough ads and stuff, maybe I could afford to do that, which is something that maybe one day will happen. But for now, my idea is going to be that I'm going to make a review on a camera, and I'm going to make a set of prints with the camera that's being reviewed. And those set of prints will be sold as, it's not called a raffle. So those prints will be sold, and when they all are sold, whoever bought them will have 1 ticket, 2 tickets, 3 tickets, whatever amount of tickets for that set. So if I review a Mamiya RZ 6x7 and I make a set of prints with that, then once I sell them, I'll raffle it between those people. I probably will include those people on Patreon that have been supporting me for basically the amount of time they have. So I'll divide their pledge between the cost of those prints, so including them. So if, for example, the prints are 30 bucks each, whoever's giving me 60 bucks on Patreon will get 2 tickets. And when there's a raffle, I'll ship their camera to them. That way I get the investment for the gear back. I make a video out of it and see how it goes. But yeah, YouTube giveaways, like Layton's saying, tend to not really work. It's kind of like a weird thing, but we'll see how it goes. I want to figure something out there. Yeah, I heard about Nick Exposed trying to make a raffle with print sales, and it turned out to be illegal in his country. I should check that out. I know there's some issues with that. I have to really look into it, but we'll see how it goes. Let me see. I'm sorry that I missed Phil Nena. Thanks all. I've tested used film along with digital at home at some shoots, and the vintage cameras create a lot of conversation. I use the digital camera to take test shots, like using a Polaroid, and the clients prefer them, probably because there's are more digital than film images made. Yeah, I mean, if you really have to justify to your client that film is better, then you're not with the right client most of the times. But I think film has a space in still, like in professional photography and portraits and stuff. It's just, you have to find the right clients, basically, which is not easy. Like Layton said, YouTube giveaways tend to not really work. You get an uptick, then people go away, and possibly a non-regular will win. Yeah, that's the thing. So I'm considering doing something. That's why doing like a raffle feels a little less, let's see, attention gathering, because when you do a raffle, only probably people that have watched the channel and support it might become part of it and be like, yeah, I'll do that, and they'll do it. But we'll see. I don't even know if it's possible. House says, Phil, if you want to go with film, you have to be firm about it and testing it out. That's true. Brian says, I would offer products film for giveaway. Well, I'm sure there's some stuff like that happening. It's just think about the size of this channel. I'm sure there's channels out there that could do a giveaways or maybe get offered things like that, and are probably going to have a bigger attention or bigger market. So far, no one's offered me to do a giveaway here from any brand. So if it happened, I would probably see how to do it. But so far, I'm trying to figure out a way that I can review different gear that's not only mine and make you guys out there part of it. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Layton says they would, but you need a lot of subscribers. Yeah, I mean, brands go for big channels, but still, I mean, the film market is small. Film channels are still pretty small, most of them. Squarespace has not contacted me yet. I don't know if I would go with a Squarespace sponsorship. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but the fact of why my channel is called the way it's called is because I wanted to make a channel that I was proud of putting my name in front, that I could pick and choose what I wanted to talk about. And I don't know what the conditions would be if you ever have a sponsor, but I wouldn't want to lose that kind of creative side to my own channel, like my quirkiness on my news, putting on my suit, my live streams with you guys, and my great painting that Hogarth makes fun of. Stuff like that is something I want to keep like that. And that's why when I launched a Patreon, it's something that I just want, if someone wants to help, that's a way to help, but the channel will stay being as genuine as possible. But we'll see. I was going to record a video today about support and something like it and the idea of it in a different way, but never got to it. But that will be coming soon, maybe next week or so. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But giveaways, film giveaways are fun. It's just you get a lot of attention for like Layton said, for like 2 weeks, and then it goes down. And I did the Across more because I thought it was sad that the film was being discontinued, and maybe some people wanted to test it out and use it. I just wanted to share some of that. But the film was bought by me, and it'll be shipped by me and paid by me and whatnot. So yeah, I can't do that all the time because reasonable. Brian, on Hasselblads, have you ever had or seen issues with the internal body or barn door black felt breaking down, cracking into dust? Yes. I've had multiple Hasselblads with that, the cracking. It doesn't really affect much. It's basically like a dampening reflective material that's in there. I've never had a big issue of it breaking into my negatives. I have had the light seal come into my negative and have a bunch of pictures with the frame in the middle, the light seal. But if you're worried about it, take it to get serviced, and they'll probably clean it up, probably put some new material, something like it on it, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I actually have a Hasselblad somewhere there in a Ziploc bag that I try to fix because the barn doors wouldn't close all the way. When you shoot the barn doors, if you don't know, it's like a second shutter that basically open and close, and mine would open, and when it was closing, one would stay like at a little angle. So I tried to fix it. The camera looked brand new, and I basically broke it all the way. So it's somewhere around there in a Ziploc bag with all the pieces and bits there, waiting for me to make it back into a working Hasselblad, which I should already. Gene says, at the moment, Nico's channel isn't ready to do giveaways. At most, like he said, giving away prints or some film. I mean, prints, I wanted to do something with some postcards, but I have to figure out how to do the logistics, basically having the time to print them out. Still have to print the Kickstarter. I have to print my Patreon first shipment of prints. And then I want to do some maybe postcards and maybe do a giveaway when I reach a certain amount of subscribers. Not that I count them or anything, but I thought it'd be fun when I reach 4,500 to do 4x5 contact prints and maybe do an X amount and ship them for people that realize that. Maybe put it in a hint on the news or something hidden that not a lot of people will see, so it's just a little funner. But we'll see. But yeah, I bought some postcards to do some stuff like that. Paul says, question studio film work. 120 film on a Bronica 645. Do you have any quick tips on getting exposures with flashes on remote triggers? Issue is not the remote trigger, it's getting the exposure close. Paul, I would highly recommend a flash meter, light meter. The Sekonic 308 is around $100-ish secondhand. It will trigger your flashes with a PC sync on it, and also you can click the flash and then walk away and trigger the flashes, and that will give you an exposure. If you don't have that, a light meter, you can use a digital camera, but digital and film reacts slightly different to exposure. So maybe it won't be exactly perfect, but yeah, like Leighton said, the Sekonic L308S, it's what works pretty much with me all the time in the studio. That's what I do my studio shots. Actually, look, studio shot with Polaroid 8x10 or Impossible 8x10 metered with that L308 and some Elinchrom 400 watts strobes. So yeah, it can be done. And this was one shot. I couldn't do more. I actually got some light leaks on the bottom. Hao says, what determines the quality of the enlarger lenses? Big names like Schneider, Rodagon, will their lenses do any better than cheap lenses? Yes, there's a difference in quality on enlarger lenses. Usually the APO lenses are the ones that are corrected for the color, but also remember black and white kind of reacts to color too. So a lot of people say APO lenses are for color, but they're also very important for black and white. Those usually are the best. Most of the lenses that finish on an on, so Rodagon, Schneider, Componon are the better ones. The exact letters and specs, I don't know them, but it does make a difference. Some really good lenses are the Nikon or Nikkor LEL enlarger lenses. So if you can check some of that out. Plus 4x5 enlarger lenses are not that expensive, usually around 100, 130 bucks. You can get a pretty good one. And do remember you're enlarging 4x5 or 8x10. And the amount of enlargement is not going to be huge. So unless you're making a huge poster, you'll be fine with a good normal-ish lens. Paul says, oh, thank you, excuse to get a light meter now. Do try to get a light meter. It works. That Sekonic works really well for reflective, incident, and flash metering. And it's pretty inexpensive, fits in the back pocket. It's probably my favorite piece of equipment that I use for film photography. Leighton says, cheap and larger lenses are a road to disappointment. I am using Minolta rockers at the moment. Awesome. Cheap lenses, lower contrast as well as resolution. Yeah, there's also the process lenses, which are, for example, the Schneider G Claron lenses. The 150 in barrel is pretty cheap. The 210 millimeter is pretty cheap in barrel too. And those are f9 lenses, which will be fine to focus on. I enlarge in my 8x10 with a 240 f9, and I see my negs perfectly well on the easel. But yeah, try to not go for the cheapest. I don't even think there's any cheap, bad 4x5 enlarger lens that I know of, but there probably is. Analog Adventure, Svein, nice to see you. Oh boy, so busy, so fun. Going on a trip tomorrow, shooting 4x5 as many sheets as I can. Have you talked about anything fun? We've had 50 minutes of fun. That's all I can say. Gene says, does a rotating back exist for crown graphic? It's awkward turning the camera. So if you want to get a Graflex that you can rotate, I have the speed graphic that rotated. I don't know if there's, I don't think there's any speed graphic. Yeah, I have a speed graphic that will let you flip the back, but there's no attachment you can use to flip the back on a Graflex that doesn't have it. So that's how it is. JKL says, what do you think about the Nikon F6? Well, it's the latest film camera from Nikon, so it's probably amazing. Probably amazing at focusing, amazing at metering, amazing at film advancing, and all those features. I think if you're coming from the digital world and you've only shot digital cameras and you own like a D700 or D800 or D810 or whatever they're making right now, and you're really used to that and you want to go into film and you have no clue, I would say get an F6 because it probably has like 99% of the same features, even though it's film. But if not, I would say get an F4, F5, you can get an F3, F100, and they're super fun cameras. I would highly recommend the F80, which is cheap, and very good. The F100 is also very good and pretty cheap. It costs around 100 to 150 bucks. So I wouldn't go for a Nikon F6 at this time of history. House says, my colleague has two 4x5 enlargers, but they don't have any 4x5 negative carriers and lenses. So sad to not use them. I can buy to use them, but it's going to be a waste of money. I would suggest how you can get yourself some glass, some anti-Newton glass from Better Scanning, and maybe make yourself a negative carrier for your 4x5. Layton says, do you have any Nikon lenses for it? If not, you want a Canon EOS 1V. I'm tempted on those Canons, and I don't have any Canon EF lenses. Analog Adventure, F100, same specs but cheaper, or the F90X. Like basically everything Nico just said. How? And Nico, thanks for the advice. Probably buy the lens and wait for Intrepid to release their enlarger. Yeah, I would suggest that. Just slowly find a lens, and when they make their enlarger, you can just buy it and adapt it to your Horseman and enlarge like that. The biggest issue I find when they come out with this enlarger is alignment. So I suggest you guys start thinking about a way to align your enlarger when you're using that little invention they're going to make. Because at the end, the most important part is not having, you know, your film plane and your paper to be in awkward positions. You want it to be perfectly parallel. So we'll see how that goes. I wonder if Max will figure out some kind of ingenious way to be like, yeah, this is super simple. Just use this tool and make a tool, which would be awesome. Because there is a laser alignment tool, which is not that cheap, but works pretty well. I actually have it, but it's broken. I need to fix it, and then I'll make a video about it. Phil, then that Intrepid enlarger is going to be changed everything. I don't have storage space for a regular 4x5 enlarger. Yeah, that's one of the big benefits. Is going to be enlarging is going to be easy for storage, even for workshops. Like I teach workshops on 4x5, and I could take that in my backpack, and we could enlarge at night. You know, do like a weekend workshop or a 4 or 5 day workshop, and enlarge at night in a hotel bathroom, Airbnb bathroom, with that little thing and on a tripod. You know, just get some cheapo plastic trays and just have some fun. JKL says the metering on the FA is amazing. Well, if you're happy with the FA, I mean, keep on with it. I'm a big fan of just trying to stay with what you have, even though I have a lot more than I should. Layton says, I shoot Canon digital, embarrassing to admit. When I need to shoot digital, I have EFL lenses with image stabilization, etc. So I have the 1V. It's incredible to use, and autofocus is the best but worst user interface ever. Yeah, when I was shooting digital I had the Nikon D700. I got the Nikon F5, and I remember seeing that it was much faster to focus on the Nikon, sorry, F5. And a friend of mine had the Nikon D3 at the time, which was the top of the top at this moment. And still, the Nikon F5 was much faster at focusing with autofocus lenses on Nikon. So it was interesting to see. After that, I got rid of the digital, and that was it, basically. D8AZ, what happened to the thumbnail? I have your thumbnail, the template. I received it. I haven't had a second to answer you. I changed my computer's hard drive, and I have to reinstall Photoshop. So I've become part of the Photoshop membership, whatever it's called, and I have to download Photoshop and install it and see how it looks and such. D8AZ is helping me making some templates for my thumbnails to make the channel pop up a little bit. So thank you for that help. And I'll answer your email as soon as possible, probably tomorrow. But I've been with my taxes and stuff and the news. So yeah, so far I haven't had the second. Creative Cloud, Layton says, yeah, I'm part of that Creative Cloud now, which is basically a creative whatever. But I used it for the scans and for the templates and stuff like that, so I can design more stuff. But yeah, hopefully my thumbnails will be more flashy and cool, because I'm terrible at it. Let's see. JK, oh yes, because no back display, but the F6 has a display. I don't think you need a display for a shooting film, but if you think you need it, go ahead. Paul O'Connor, agree with Layton, 1B, great camera focus, and you can pick up some sharp lens for 135 f2, greatest for portraits. Yeah, I had the 105 f2 DC on the Nikon, which was the focus control one that you could compensate to make more blur on the back or not, and it was a pretty fun lens, I have to say. Fielina says, Photoshop Elements is one payment, and there's nothing I missed from the subscription version. I'll have to see. So far, it's only a month for now, testing it out. TB Photo, no, I'm a bit late in the game, but as a budget light meter, I would nominate the Minolta AVF. Good to know. That nomination will be considered. Okay, guys, 2 more minutes. Jacob says, is there an easy method with a mirror to get the surface parallel? You can Google it. That's good to know. I'm sure you can just kind of like enlarge like onto a mirror, and the mirror will reflect, and you just have to make it somehow. I'm sure there's a way, but I will Google it, and I will probably make a video on that. Mirror enlarger alignment. There you go. What would we do without Google? I'm going to open these two and save them for whenever I have the time. Thanks, Jacob, for that. Oh, Minolta IVF, sorry. This guy, BK, want to shoot some architecture with my RZ67. I have the 110 f2.8. Any lens recommendations? I would say the 65 is my favorite for the RZ. I have the 75 shift, and that thing is twice the size of a normal lens. So if this is the RZ 6x7, the 75 is as big as the whole body together. But it is the only lens that you could probably shoot architecture and have some fun. But for the size and the weight of it, I recommend going another route, unless you want to, you know, have a huge lens that no one wants to buy from you, like I have. But yeah, the RZ67 architecture lens is 75 shift, which is pretty fun. Let me see. I hope that answers your question. But the 65 millimeter, the LA, which has the floating element, is really good. Mark, Nice to see you, and sorry for getting the wrong mark before. Thank you for joining us. Analog Adventure, since Fomapan 400 claims you can expose it from 100 to 800 without changing developing, is there a point in using N+1, N+2 metering? I think you can't. I don't claim it to be one of those films. Like, you can just do whatever you want with metering. I would suggest pushing and developing when you push. Finland, for the parallel surfaces, what about a bubble level on the EZO and a bubble level on the back of the Intrepid? Or did I misunderstand the problem? You can kind of do that to have a rough average, but most bubble levels are pretty bad. Even you get 5 different bubble levels and they all give you a different, level most of the times. And then you flip them around and it says something else. So I don't trust them too much. How says Mamiya RZ has the tilt shift adapter you can use, but not a lot of movements, and you can use specific lenses to go with it. Yeah, the tilt shift is just a little bit more expensive, and you have to use the 75 SB, which is short barrel, which has a smaller focal length to it, and the 180 SB, which is short barrel, and they're really hard to find. Yeah, how says people rushing in the last minute. Okay, guys, I'm going to answer all the way to just here, where Leighton says FOMA. Let me see. Stanley, do you use the G3 bellows hood? I had a filter on the lens and tried to put on the hood, but the filter came off and got stuck onto the adapter. I've never used that. I actually have this rubber hood that I don't know why I have here, but I never use. I always unscrew it when I'm going to use it. Most of the times when I'm shooting with the RZ, it's indoors, so I don't need a hood so much. And when I've used it outdoors, I haven't found much of an issue without the hood. But yeah, the G3, never had it, never used it, but it looks pretty nice, I have to say. It's interesting that happened to you, Stanley. Leighton says, FOMA 400 at 1600, I do HC deal in 13 minutes. I do exactly the same as Leighton, and it works really well. JKL, have you tried T-Max P3200? No, haven't used it yet, but I have 10 rolls on their way. So Leighton says 800, 9 to 11 minutes. Analog Adventure, I tried 4 sheets of 4x5 today, and it was N-1, 1N, and 2, N+2. Developed all in SP445. And they all look good. I'm glad to hear. I still not the best at zone system. Hal says, thank you and good night. Gotta go to the dark room now. Yeah, and I'm gonna go to the super dark room and sleep. So bad jokes aside, thanks guys for joining me. We'll be live again next week. Please think about what you would like to see in the live streams if you want anything different. Maybe change the topic and do something like that. Pick a topic every week and stuff like that. We'll see what happens. But yeah, thanks for joining, guys, and we'll see you next week. Sorry for those joining later. Don't want to not answer any questions, but I really have to go. See you next week, and thanks for joining, guys. Good night.